JD Vance is a different kind of politician. And he is a smug, weird, off-putting, kind of looks like he would kidnap your kids. Welcome back to the Minx28 YouTube channel. Appreciate you returning after my little birthday break. And I've got a couple videos I'm going to try to knock out this week, covering a couple things. But one of the things that I wanted to cover is something that is, you know, political. Because life is politics, and politics
sucks. It does. I'm serious. It's not bad.
Let's just get into it.
Okay, then, let's do it.
What?
Trump might be regretting picking JD Vance as his latest running mate.
JD Vance doesn't look the part. He doesn't sound the part.
Some polls are suggesting that Vance doesn't move the needle.
Creepy, weird, out of touch, a disaster. Those are just some of the ways Donald Trump's pick for vice president is being described by political opponents and even Republican critics. According to some polling, JD Vance has the lowest favorability rating of any vice presidential nominee since the 1980s. The Ohio senator's staunch anti-abortion stance, as well as recently resurfaced comments he made branding U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and women without kids as childless cat ladies who wanted to make the country miserable, are adding fuel to the debate.
But let's talk about where Vance stands on some key issues. We'll start with reproductive rights. Back in 2022, Vance endorsed Ohio's proposed 6-week abortion ban, which had no exceptions for cases of incest or rape. But if he's indifferent about Ukraine, he certainly ain't on the fence when it comes to immigration and the southern border with Mexico. Vance desperately wants to finish construction of the wall. He said he would, quote, oppose every attempt to grant amnesty to immigrants who arrived here illegally. Let's talk about LGBTQ plus rights. Vance introduced a bill last year called the Protect Children's Innocent Act, which would have basically banned transition-related medical care, including puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and operations for minors. In 2022, Vance told an Ohio Christian organization that he would oppose the Respect for Marriage Act.
So JD Vance made a couple of comments on an ABC interview that he did recently, and he's sort of become kind of the front voice somehow for the Republicans in this election cycle, despite Donald Trump being the main guy on the ticket. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, but the JD Vance pick is not shaping out well after Joe Biden decided for once in his life that he is going to truly put the American people first.
What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
Beans, rice, Jesus Christ, and Byron.
Who?
Byron.
Who?
Byron.
And stepped down, leaving Kamala Harris to start her campaign, and then for the Democrats to completely follow it, which was interesting to say the least. I did not see it coming. I'm kind of glad it did. Again, I'm not a Kamala Harris fan, but it is definitely the situation of the better of two evils, as it always is. And let's be honest, the evil of Kamala Harris is, it's like a little munchkin or a Cabbage Patch Kid compared to the evil of Donald Trump and JD Vance. And they went and did further good, further weakening their evil stance, by hiring everyone's favorite middle-aged dad, Tim Walz.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are. Don't give them the power. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Who's asking for this crazy stuff? We do not like what has happened where we can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with our uncle because you end up in some weird fight that is unnecessary. They see the least fortunate among us as scapegoats and punchlines for them. Kamala Harris and Democrats see them as our neighbors. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. We don't have the 10 Commandments post in our classrooms, but we have free breakfast and lunch. Have you ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone.
Who just quite literally is the average guy in a suit as a politician, which is insane, okay? It is absolutely insane. This guy's history is a teacher. Name the last major political candidate that wasn't a rich asshole or a lawyer or a veteran who missed the entire point that their service should have taught them. You can't.
Hello there.
JD Vance is a different kind of politician. And he is a smug, weird, fucking off-putting, kind of looks like he would kidnap your kids, and instead of doing like weird pedo shit would make them just like act like they were a part of his family. That's what that's the ick that JD Vance gives me. So let's look at this ABC interview he did where he said some off-the-cuff, unhinged shit, and if you don't believe me, I'll put it as simple as this. He literally does a Nazi inside this interview.
Nein, 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 nein! Was alles soll ich von diesen Judenschweinen noch ertragen?
If you don't detect it, I will call out for you. So let's watch.
Kamala Harris said that she's the underdog in this race. Is that the way you see it? I mean, are you guys still the front runners here?
Look, I think that we are going to have a very tight election, John, and that we just have to sprint to the finish line. We have about 88 days to actually persuade the American people that President Trump should be their president and be their vice president. And I think you just take nothing for granted. You don't believe any polls, whether the ones that are good for you or bad for you. You just try to persuade people as much as you can, and the chips are going to fall where they are.
But Trump seems to think that he's got a huge lead. I mean, you just said this at the press conference. He suggested it could be a landslide looking at polls. Do you tell him that you need to kind of like temper expectations?
I think President Trump is extremely confident. Look, I'm extremely confident. I think we're going to win. I also think that we have to work as hard as possible for the remainder of the election to try to persuade Americans to vote for us. That's the name of the game. But yeah, look, do I think President Trump is actually as confident as he pretends to be in public? Yes, he actually is. But we still have to work very hard.
Well, this is what happens when you thought your entire race was going to be against a old, fucking demented, on the approach to Alzheimer's man, okay, and Joe Biden. And that's why, like, they put out so much stuff about Crooked Joe and this and that, and how he's basically ancient, his faculties aren't all there. But that hasn't worked in their favor because he dropped out. Democrats were finally able to convince him to drop out. Nancy Pelosi, or not Senator, House of Representatives member Nancy Pelosi, pushing force in that and kind of left the door open. And at her powerful position, it was enough, I feel like, to convince Joe Biden, okay, if she keeps saying that it's my choice and I still haven't dropped out, like, she's basically saying drop the fuck out. And he took it. And that has led Republicans to, like, internal chaos, okay?
Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's beer.
The JD Vance pick, I think, was a pick of inconsequence, okay? They just wanted someone who could appeal outright to the right wing. So that's why they chose him, even though Donald Trump himself, he speaks like relatively right-wing leaning. Donald Trump himself is really more of a rich liberal asshole, okay? Let's be real. JD Vance is the secure, the incel, red pill, right-wing pick. And that's wild considering he is married to a woman of color. So I don't think they really thought that pick through, but they didn't care about that pick because it was the VP and this was a race against Joe Biden. It did not matter. But now that they're facing Kamala Harris, who has her fucking faculties together and has a relatively young spirit, blowing my own expectations out the way, she has shown that maybe that karma suck she was is either just something she can cut on and cut off, or she's very good at hiding it, or it was just her doing that so Joe Biden could shine. Either way, they are in panic mode, okay? Believe it or not, they are.
So there's been a lot of talk about racism and whatnot. You faced some really nasty stuff. I saw this thing that Nick Fuentes, of course, he's an avowed white supremacist. He said, what kind of a man marries somebody named Usha? Clearly he doesn't value his racial identity, his heritage. I mean, this is racist garbage.
Yes, it is.
But this is also a guy that dined with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago during this campaign.
Let me first say something about Nick Fuentes, okay? Nick Fuentes is the most unfuckable human being on planet Earth, okay? And I mean that with the utmost sincerity, okay? Nick Fuentes is what happens when a fucking sniveling rat and a hairy mole rat fuck.
Where do you come up with this shit?
That's what he is the spawn of, okay? With a dash of, like, unthreatening Satan on top of it, okay? That's what Nick fucking Fuentes is, okay? No woman, even if she was in the most vastness of fucking, like, would touch that motherfucker with a fucking 1,000,000-foot pole attached to fucking Pluto on a rocket that has light speed capability and meant they would only have to touch that motherfucker for 0.01 seconds. No one would touch Nick Fuentes. He's a weirdo.
Have you been in a relationship with a woman?
No.
So how are you telling other people how to behave towards women when you yourself have not had any actual physical, interaction with them in a romantic capacity, or in fact in any capacity? If you are looking to some other regimes around the world that do think that women are half the value of a man, I have to question what kind of a person who's had no experience with women is in a position to basically promote these ideas.
Well, I'm having an experience with a woman right now, and I've had lots of experiences with women in my life, not romantically per se, but I've talked to enough women. I've been in, I've known enough women to know sort of what's going on.
Well, I'm out, guys. If this is what's cool now, I think I'm done. I no longer have any connection to this world. I'm gonna go home and kill myself. Goodbye, friends.
And not only is he a weirdo, he's a fucking Nazi. He's a white supremacist, okay? He is a fucking cunt. So and this is wild here, okay? This is how horrible of a person he is. I am defending J.D. Vance's marriage to a woman of color to attack Nick Fuentes. That's how disgusting this motherfucker is. Marry whoever you want. Marry whoever you feel you have a connection to and that you love. And if the relationship works, doesn't matter what fucking color they are, okay? But Nick Fuentes, you're never marrying anybody except for probably your right hand. Because he's just that unfuckable as a person.
But, I mean, that dinner that Trump had, and of course it was Kanye West, the guy that's praised Hitler, who arranged it all. That was back a year and a half ago, and Trump still hasn't given a full-throated denouncement of this guy who said that terrible stuff, but he's a white supremacist.
Look, I think President Trump has issued plenty of condemnations on this. The one thing that
the one
thing I like about Donald Trump, John, is that he actually will talk to anybody, but just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you endorse their views. And look, I mean, Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife. Every time he sees her, he gives her a hug. That he actually will talk to anybody, but just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you endorse their views. And look, I mean, Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife. Every time he sees her, he gives her a hug, tells her she's beautiful, and jokes around with her a little bit.
Did this man just... Is J.D. Vance's wife getting porked by Donald Trump? Like, what the fuck was... I can't take Republicans serious, okay? You got Mike Pence, who couldn't be in a fucking room with another woman unless his wife was there because the cucking is fucking real. And now you got J.D. Vance, who, like, chuckles and shit and goes, Donald Trump has spent a lot of quality time with my wife. He gives her a hug and a kiss on the cheek and puts his fingers in places that I have never put them myself. Like, what the fuck? God, these motherfuckers are weird, dude.
All right, let's focus on something that's gotten a lot of attention. I mean, this cat ladies comment. You talk about Democrat Party dominated by childish cat ladies. Put that aside. You also made a policy proposal.
Yes.
Which was why Tucker Carlson had you on for that interview. And you said you advocated giving extra votes to people with children, which seems a little...
Well, John, it's not a policy proposal. It's a thought experiment, right? Democrats said we should give children the right to vote. Some Democrats had said we're going to give children the right to vote. And I said, well, if we're going to give the rights to the children, then we should actually just allow the parents to cast those votes, right? I trust a parent more with a decision like that than I do, say, a 14-year-old. So it's a thought experiment. There are, though, policy positions behind my view that the country should become more pro-family, right? One thing I learned as a dad is after our second child we brought home, we have 3 little kids, we got these ridiculous surprise medical billings from the hospital because we had chosen an out-of-network provider, of course, at this most stressful of all imaginable moments. I've actually introduced legislation to stop moms and dads from having to go through those surprise medical billings. We want to expand the child tax credit. There's so much that we want to do, John, to make the country more pro-family. And I think it is frankly shameful that the Harris administration has lied about what I actually said. Look, sometimes family doesn't work out for people, and that's okay. But I do think that Kamala Harris herself has pursued some anti-family policies, and that is a problem and something we ought to push back against.
Okay, bro. Kind of weird that you're pushing people to have children, and also the statement of if like kids should get the right to vote. Okay, no one legitimately is pushing that. Okay, let's be real. No one with any legitimate power or fucking understanding is pushing that at all. But you do you. You heard some fucking Minnesota cat lady fucking say it, and now all of a sudden every Democrat wants it. Okay, if that's the case, then I've heard Republicans say that all Hispanic people in the country should be lined up and shot. So every Republican, including the Hispanics, want Hispanic people to be lined up and shot. Like, it's just stupid shit. This is like culture war signal dumb shit, okay? And as far as the healthcare shit, if you had universal healthcare, you know what would happen to those medical bills that you got because you went out of network? They wouldn't fucking exist. You $5 foot-long fucking testicle. Jesus.
I want to ask you about abortion. There's this proposed amendment that's going to be on the ballot in Florida that basically codifies a constitutional right, state constitutional right, to have an abortion up to about 24 weeks. I assume this is something you oppose.
Well, what I believe, and I'm running to be the Vice President of the United States, is that the American people have to make this decision. And President Trump has said explicitly they're going to make this decision on a state-by-state level. He won the nomination of our party. He's determined what the platform is. And I think that he's doing something that's actually very, very important, which is to try to help the country find some common ground. Look, California is going to have a less restrictive abortion policy than Ohio, where we're sitting. Ohio is going to have a less restrictive abortion policy than Alabama.
Except we had common ground on this. It's called Roe v. fucking Wade.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Because all of us, at some point, when we, weren't fucking psychotic, just for a day, or maybe a week, because let's be real, fucking shit that came out before the fucking thousands was just as psychotic as shit that came out after the fucking thousands, okay, in America. There was a period where we all said a woman who carries the baby for 9 fucking months and has her body completely and utterly fucking altered and has to bear the fucking weight and the responsibility for 9 fucking months out of their life for this child should have a right and a say on whether she has to do that, because it's her body, and it's her choice, and it's her body. Did I mention that it was her body during all those 9 months? And the only people who should be in that conversation are her and a doctor? It's weird that the party of bodily fucking autonomy decides that because you have breasts and a coin purse, suddenly you're no longer in charge of your own body.
Trump was asked recently very directly, would you be ready to be president on day one?
Sure.
When he arrived. And it was notable that he didn't answer the question. Instead, what he said is, the vice presidential candidate doesn't matter. I mean, what did you make when you heard him not answer that directly.
Well, he said that a million times, both in
he
private
said the
and
part
in
about
public.
But he's asked really directly,
right.
are you ready?
Most people, oh, come on, John. He's right. Most people, 99% of the country, they don't vote on who the vice presidential nominee. They're voting for Donald Trump or for Kamala Harris, not for JD or Tim Walz, right? But what I think that he does believe, because he made it the main focus of his vetting process, is, do I think this person can be president on day one if, God forbid, something happens? Yes. So I absolutely am sure that Donald Trump is confident in my abilities. I also think that he's right, that the politics of this really don't matter that much.
God damn it, ABC. God, how the hell do you make me agree with JD Vance? Come on now. That's a softball fucking question. That like, what the fuck? No one gives a fuck about the VP ticket. The VP ticket matters only when it's announced for like a month and a half and then it goes the fuck away. Unless you're cringe as fucking psychotic like JD Vance. Then it might play a huge factor because he gives everyone the fucking ick, okay? Everyone except for his wife, who also might have the ick off this motherfucker. Who the fuck knows? Okay, we're not in her head. And to be honest with you, if someone told me I had to lay with this motherfucker, I'm slicing my own you-know-what, okay? It's over. I'm fucking out of this bitch.
One of the proposals that's in the platform, you've talked about it, Trump's talked about it, is a mass deportation. Now, I know he said you'll start with the easy ones, the criminals, people commit crimes, deport them. But he said deporting 15 to 20 million people. How do you actually do that?
Well, John, we have to start with the fact that we have a wide open southern border because our border czar actually set a lot of open border policies. They suspended...
she's not actually, she wasn't the border czar.
Oh, that was what the media called her.
I know,
she assumed the title. She had control over a lot of our border policy at a time.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. That's not how that works, okay? She was doing shit at the direction of the president. He gave her a set amount of policies to fucking follow and ensure they were enforced. She was there in a position of representation of the president. Like, that's... JD, you just said that the vice president does nothing but push the policy of the president, okay? So, fuck me.
When they were suspending... Let me finish, John. The time they were suspending deportations, they stopped Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, and they reinstituted catch and release. They basically threw open the gates of our country, and now we have a ton of fentanyl, a ton of people suffering.
But how are you going to get 10 to 15 to 20 million people
Well,
out of the
first thing you have...
Drugs, okay? Let's talk about drugs. If you think majority of the drugs in America come from across the border or through planes or boats or whatever, you're correct. The majority of the drugs that come across the border at points of entry. So it's Border Patrol missing these like trucks or cars with compartments or like family RVs or what the fuck ever. And a lot of times those like people driving the vehicles are usually Caucasian people, white people, okay? So you want to handle that drug problem, then Border Patrol needs to do their fucking job. Even if it slows down the border, Border Patrol needs to do their job. And also, fentanyl comes from China. A lot of it comes from fucking China. It might initially stop in Mexico on its way to America to be like refined or whatever, but it mostly comes from China and other Asian countries. So if you want to fix that, then you've got to handle that import process, or just, I don't know. But saying that it's the people running across the border to immigrate and not come through the points of entry to seek asylum is psychotic, because very rarely are those people drug mules. Those people are literally just led by some random cartel wolf, and their entire purpose is to move people, not drugs. Like, holy shit. As far as the open border bullshit and him going, they stopped catch and release. I wonder why they stopped catch and release. Could it be the factor of we were literally running concentration camps, essentially, at our fucking border as a result of stopping catch and release and having to hold these people by the thousands? Maybe that played a factor in stopping, catch, and release because we didn't want to be Nazis, JD Vance. Just because people were running from shittier conditions and coming to America for the so-called promise of the American dream, or at the bare minimum, the right to work in a fucking field, more than likely, sweating and dying so that way we can all have our fucking jalapeno poppers at the fucking the damn Chili's, or so that we can all have our fucking Domino's pizza, or so that we can all fucking act like basic white motherfucking girls, okay, and have our avocado toast. Fuck. Do you not understand how this shit works? I know you do, but you're eating yourself by making this your own fucking talking point. You schizo nut job.
Have to do is to stop the bleeding, stop the open border, get Kamala Harris out of there, and actually re-implement the Remain in Mexico policy, rebuild or finish Donald Trump's border wall, and you do that and you stop the bleeding. Now, you're right. Once you do that, once you stop Kamala Harris's open border policies, you've got to do something with the people who are already here. And I think that you take a sequential approach to it. You are going to have to deport some people. If you're not willing to deport a lot of people, you're not willing to have a border when there are 20 million illegal aliens in our country.
10 to 15 million people, this is like, I mean...
Well, John, I think that's the wrong attitude to take of it. Okay,
so you go knock on doors and ask people for their papers.
Again, but I think this is the wrong attitude towards it.
He thinks it's the wrong attitude because he wants to be able to pull a Nazi. He wants to be able to pull a white supremacist. Okay, he has a book called The Hillbilly Eulogy. He wants to sound like a hillbilly when he goes to people's fucking door asking for their papers. You got any right to be here, boy? You look like one of them illegal aliens. That's what he fucking wants to do, okay? There is no way you could dress mass deportation and make it sound good. There is no way you could do it and make it sound good because it makes the assumption that every motherfucker who is here illegally is out here killing, raping, selling drugs, and all this other bullshit. If anything, the only thing these motherfuckers do that offends anyone is take up like multiple pumps when they're refueling their fucking grass cutting equipment at the gas station. They're not out here fucking members of MS-13 and the cartel, you psychotic, demented fucks. You racist cocksuckers. And yeah, you might say, holy shit, losing your mind, Minx 28. No, I'm not losing my mind. I just don't like racist Nazis. I'm an American. I was born here in North Carolina, the fucking wannabe Southern, but wannabe fucking New York State because every motherfucker from New York keeps fucking moving here. Okay? I am as American as it can possibly get. I have been laid off several times. I struggle fucking financially. My healthcare is fucking garbage. My health is garbage. And my mind is in one hell of a fucking continuous chaotic state. And guess what? I don't want to deport fucking illegal immigrants. I don't think about it. I don't give a fuck. You wanna know why? Because I look at an illegal immigrant and I just see somebody who literally is suffering the same way I am. Sure, they might not speak English so well, but guess what? We don't have a fucking determined language because we are a nation of fucking immigrants.
20 million people here illegally. You start with what's achievable. You do that. And then you go on to what's achievable from there. I think that if you deport a lot of violent criminals, and frankly, if you make it harder to hire illegal labor, which undercuts the wages of American workers, I think you go a lot of the way to solving the illegal immigration problem. But look, President Trump is absolutely right. You cannot have a border unless you're willing to deport some people. I think it's interesting that people focus on, well, how do you deport 18 million people? Let's start with 1 million. That's where Kamala Harris has failed, and then we can go from there.
Couple things. Obama deported more motherfuckers than the two Republican presidents on either side of him. Okay? Couple things. Yeah. So Republicans saying Democrats don't do this shit? I don't know. Seems like we all treat Obama like God, but he did that shit. Okay? Second, are you gonna go out there and work the field, JD? Or are you trying to insinuate that a certain colored people should accept their return to a certain situation, which led to the only major war fought on American soil. What's the plan when you deport all these illegal immigrants? Most of which who keep these vast fucking farms that feed our vast consumerism. What's the plan?
What's your plan? First, I plan to soil myself.
When you deport them. Oh, automation? Okay, well, give the farmers the fucking money to be able to afford the equipment of automation. Oh, you don't want to do that.
Oh, well.
Because that's socialism. So then they would need a labor force, right? What would be the labor force, JD? What would be the labor force that you use? Would it happen to be someone that looks like fucking me?
After meticulously, painstakingly, and exhaustively scrutinizing every conceivable option within the expansive realm of possibilities, delving into the intricate complexities and nuances thereof, and reaching a profoundly contemplative and thoughtful state of mind, the answer to your question, resolute and unequivocal in its nature, is maybe?
You psychotic motherfucking nightmare fuel.
And finally, before you go, you commit to this race to kind of sticking to the facts? I mean, I heard Donald Trump give this speech in Montana he just gave, and he said that Tim Walz has signed a letter letting the state kidnap children to change their gender, that allowing pedophiles to claim, to be exempt from crimes. I mean, this is not true. It's not remotely true.
Well, what President Trump said, and I haven't watched the whole rally.
What he said was not true.
What President Trump said, John, is that Tim Walz has supported taking children from their parents if the parents don't consent to gender reassignment. That is crazy. And by the way, Tim Walz gets on his high horse about mind your own damn business. One way of minding your own damn business, John, is to not try to take my children away from me if I have different moral views than you.
Allowing the state to kidnap children to change their
sexual identity. What I just explained to you, I would describe as kidnapping.
Okay, just because you describe it as something does not mean you're correct. Because guess what, Tim? Or fucking JD? Guess what? Guess what? What? You're a fucking nut job. You are a real piece of work. You know that? And psycho. You're a nut job. And I don't mean a psycho or a nut job in the good way. Like the Robin fucking Williams way. That everyone loves and fucking enjoys and finds that person to be, a little crazy, but you know what? Cool as fuck, okay? I don't mean in the sense of early Dave Chappelle where everyone was like, a little crazy, but you know what? Cool as fuck. I don't mean in the sense of Cat fucking Williams, a little crazy, but cool as fuck. I don't mean in the sense of Lady Gaga, a little crazy, but fucking cool as fuck. I mean in the sense of you're a fucking, a straight up psycho. You're a fucking Bates Hotel psycho, okay? You're an American psycho. And those characters, despite being memes and all this other shit, are not things that you're supposed to look up to. No one is kidnapping your kids. No one. No one is kidnapping your fucking kids. Because no one is a psycho like you. And then to be told the truth right in front of your fucking face and still hold on to it? Dog. You are thinking about trans people way too fucking much, JD. Way too fucking much. You are so fucking, you got trans people on the mind so much. You got gay people on the mind so much. You got lesbians on the mind so much. You got non-binary people on your mind so fucking much. You got asexual people on your mind so much. You probably don't even know what it's like to get hard anymore. Damn! Okay, so stop worrying about that shit. Go down to the store, get you one of those XXL Excite pills, have some sex, and shut the fuck up and calm down. Jesus. You fucking psycho.
John. He has absolutely done this stuff. It's not crazy, John. Come on.
It's not what
you
he's
should
done.
not. You should not be able to take people's children away from them.
And that's not what he's proposed.
If you disagree with decisions about gender reassignment, yes, he has proposed that, John. He absolutely has. Now, here's the more important thing, John. Why are we talking about inflation? Why are we talking about the fact that groceries are unaffordable thanks to Kamala Harris's policies, and so is housing? We've talked a little bit about the border. Why are we talking about the fact that the entire world is on fire because Kamala Harris's foreign policy, she's just asleep at the wheel?
She's not at the wheel, JD. I'm so glad I'm approaching the end of this interview. She's not at the wheel, you fucking psycho.
We have a set of plans. You talk about sticking to the facts. Donald Trump and I have a set of plans to lower the cost of housing and food, to bring peace back to the world with American leadership. That is all that we want to do. And I think it's telling that the Harris administration is focused so much on these side issues instead of on the real substance of what.
You're the one focused on the. I can't do this. This is why I myself have fucking detox from politics, okay? And this is my shit. This is my shit. This is where I fucking dug the trenches, alright? This is my World War fucking I. And I myself am backing away from politics. A whole lot. Yeah, I know, my channel is full of a lot of fucking political videos. But I guarantee you, when I get done filming this video, I am not going to go out and actively look for political bullshit to consume and engross my mind in. Why? Because American politics is psychotic. The amount of fucking delusion. I am fucking baffled by this racist cunt. Okay? I really am. And if you're some motherfucker in a rural area who thinks this Ivy League, self-professed lawyer cunt, fake wannabe hillbilly is on your side, then God help you, okay? Because he's not. The moment they are able to deport all the illegal aliens and put the black people on the fields again to work so they can have their American dream as they see it, where the white people are on top, is the moment that they turn to you. They already have. White people, white women, get abortions just as much, if not more, than minorities. Have fun. Vote for this motherfucker if you want. I wouldn't vote for this motherfucker even if he wasn't even running as vice president. If we had to vote for fucking every goddamn member of the cabinet, I wouldn't vote for this motherfucker. Okay, if he was running for secretary of fucking HUD, I wouldn't vote for this motherfucker. And that's like one of the most useless positions in the cabinet because HUD is so fucking underfunded. Reality could smack this motherfucker across the face and still somehow he would say that reality is a lie. I don't get it. I really don't. And I hope you don't either and are just as frustrated as me. And if so, you should like and subscribe. And be prepared for the next video. Whatever topic I decide to cover. I'm out. Bye!